He's a Muslim apologist, and he's been given a video where he talks about Hatum, and Hatum was wanting to sit on a chair, a Christian apologist woman, and he took it away from her. Excuse me. He took it away from her, and sorry, and she fell to the ground. Sorry, sorry, and he said that Christians don't want to talk about Christianity, but Islam. Um, I just want to say that if you go to Hyde Park, you'll find that the Muslims don't want to talk about Christianity. Sorry, the Muslims don't want to talk about Islam. They attack Christianity all the time. So when you go to Hyde Park Speaker's Corner in London, they just want to attack Christianity. They don't want to attack atheism, they don't want to attack Hinduism, they just want to rip into Christianity, because the Muslim Dawah teams they have in Britain, they have this agenda to take over Britain, and they'll do it in any shape or form. And they're financed, they're well financed. They're getting finance from Saudi Arabia, places like that, are financing these people. And they have an agenda. They have an agenda to take over Britain. And they'll do it any way they can. Now, on the Ali Dawah gives the impression that he's this nice guy, and Mohammed Hijab and everything like that. But he and Mohammed Hijab and many just there, it's well known that there's been threats and intimidation to Christians at Hyde Park and non-Christians by Muslims, and they have not said anything about it. They've known about it and even defended these people. So there are Muslims that have been down there that have threatened Christians, that have threatened and even done violence to Christians. And Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawah. A couple of years ago, there was a Christian kicked off his stepladder and mauled by a mob of Muslims in Hyde Park Speaker's Corner. Ali Dawah said nothing, never defended the man, never defended the Christian, nor Mohammed Hijab. Sarah, who's not a Christian, Sarah, who's not a Christian, Sarah, who's not a Christian, the police told him that there was a death threat on him. Sarah, Mohammed Hijab, Ali Dawah never made videos saying, oh, everything's okay. Mohammed Hijab has had someone in his show who's a friend of Ali Dawah, who is a friend of Adam Shroudry, a known Islamic extremist who was in terrorism. So there's a video where Mohammed Hijab, a best friend of Ali Dawah, had a guy on who openly said that he'd done voluntary work for Adam Shroudry, and he was proud of it. And Mohammed Hijab never said anything. This was a guy who was proud of working with Adam Shroudry, who has encouraged people to blow up people in Britain. So there has been, I've been punched and kicked by Muslims when I was at Hyde Park. I was assaulted by a Muslim apologist when I was at Hyde Park. A Muslim apologist hit me, and another Muslim apologist threatened me, seriously threatened me. I was also threatened when I came outside Hyde Park Speaker's Corner by a group of Muslims who were praying, and I was preaching outside the park, just near the entrance, and they were threatening me that if I don't go away, it will be dangerous for me to be there. There's been continual threats and intimidation of Christians at Hyde Park Speaker's Corner over the last 5 years, massive intimidation and hypocrisy by Muslim apologists at Hyde Park Speaker's Corner, because Paul Williams, a Muslim apologist, has called out and said that he was worried that there were Muslim apologists. Most of the Muslim apologists were involved in promoting and supporting ISIS. He called them out, and Muslim apologists blocked him from blogging on on their on their on their um, on their platforms. That was a Muslim apologist calling out most of the Muslim apologists to Hyde Park that they were supporting ISIS. So Ali Dawah is it's all fake. It's all fake. He's got his best mate who had a mate on who said he was a friend and supporter of Adam Chowdhury, and he never says anything to the guy. And he's the best mate, Mohammed Hijab, with Ali Dawah. You've got Paul Williams, a Muslim apologist, calling out all these Muslim apologists at Hyde Park for supporting ISIS because there were ISIS supporters going down to Hyde Park, and these Muslim and they will and they weren't saying anything. They were actually talking to them and supporting them. And Paul Williams called them out for that. And then he got blocked off their sites. So there's a lot. Adam Rashid and many of these Muslim apologists, they're all secret in what they believe. If we looked at all these Muslim apologists and got down to the bare bones, I suspect. In fact, I don't suspect, but I'm not going to say it. But it's more than suspect. You know, you'll find that they support some very, very ugly people. But I don't suspect. I know they support some very, 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 very ugly people who've done very, very, very bad things on the shore of Britain and around the world. So, you know, you must be very, very careful with Ali Dawah and the Muslim apologist in Britain, because they have a strategy to take over Britain. They don't want to have proper debates and discussion, because if they do, it will expose them. So they don't want to talk to Hatoum, they don't want to talk to DCCI and soccer films, and they're trying to brand them as fascist or something. But the reality is, these Muslim apologetic groups, they present this nicey front, but behind the scenes they're involved with some very, very ugly characters, and they support some very, very ugly characters. And when I mean ugly, I mean vicious. These people have done bad things. All right, so you got to be very, very careful. Very, very careful. Who finances Ali Dawah? Who finances Mohammed Hijab? Where does the money come from that finance them? And where does the money that they get when they give it out, where does it go? All these Dawah teams and YouTube channels and all that, ask questions. Where do they get the money from? Who supports them? And where do they send the money? Do they send the money to terrorist organizations? Do they fund terrorist organizations? How do we know they do or don't? Let's investigate them. And I bet you, if you do investigate, you'll be shocked to find out who they actually support and what they actually support. Yes, if you go on Facebook, there are Bible studies there. If you go on Facebook, message me on Messenger. I'll give you my phone number. We can do Bible studies on WhatsApp. But I do lectures on Facebook as well, when I'm lecturing on a Saturday in theology. So and this is not me making up false accusations. I've seen the video where Mohammed Hijab was on a show with his friend, and I've seen it where his friend categorically said that he has done voluntary work for Adam Chowdhury, and Mohammed Hijab never said anything, and was laughing and joking. And Ali Dawah is a best friend of Mohammed Hijab. So that's one. Two, it's a known fact. It's a known fact that Paul Williams, a Muslim apologist, called many of the Muslim apologists out in Hyde Park for the support of ISIS supporters who were in Hyde Park. It's a known fact, and that they blocked him for saying that. They blocked him from going on their sites. So you've got to be very, 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 very careful. Very, very careful. Yeah, whether she fell herself or not, the issue is, where was his compassion? Where was his love? He had no compassion. He didn't even go and help her up. He didn't show any kindness. He didn't show any respect to the Christian woman. Yet if a Muslim girl fell over, any Christian guy would go over and pick her up and say, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Whatever. But not him, you know. So, at the end of the day, what's happening is people are seeing that Antifa are allowed to riot and are getting violent. Black Lives Matter are getting violent. The police aren't doing anything. Muslims are getting violent. Police aren't doing anything. And so some Christians are beginning to defend themselves. And that's what the situation is. Because the police won't do anything. If a Muslim hits a Christian in Hyde Park, they won't be taken to court and arrested and sent down. What happened to the people? There was a Muslim that hit a police officer at Hyde Park with a stick when Tommy Robinson's people came down. What's happened to him? I don't think he got sent down, did he? Yeah, I don't think anything happened to him, but he hit a police officer with a stick. So Christians are defending themselves, and many times when I was at Hyde Park, I got threatened by a Muslim, punched by a Muslim. Now, there are many good Muslims there. Don't get me wrong. There's some good Muslim apologists and some good Muslims. But what I'm saying is, there's a very majority, strong extremist element at Hyde Park Speaker's Corner. You can get easily kicked and punched, and if you go to the police, they won't do anything about it. So there are thugs that are connected to Ali Dawah, Islamic thugs that if you mess with them, they will do you over, no problem. If you don't believe me, just go and look at the videos of Hyde Park and see all the drama with Sarah and how the Muslim apologist, one Muslim apologist was threatening him. He had a death threat on his life. Police had to tell him that he'd had a death threat. And look at what happened to him, how he was bullied off the park, Hyde Park, by Muslim extremists. I don't see Ali Dawah and Mohammed Hijab and the Muslim Dawah team saying, "Oh, come back, Sarah. We want you. We want you to have your free speech." I don't see that. I didn't see that. It's only now Sarah's come back a little bit, and that's because he believes in free speech, and he's risking his life doing that. So I've been threatened by Muslims when I've been down there, Muslim apologists. I've had some Muslims that have shown me some good kindness. One Muslim guy who's an apologist bought me a drink and nice to me. So I'm not saying they're all like that, but I'm saying that, Ali Dawah, you've got to face up to reality. You're just pretending a lot of the time, bro. You've got to be honest with yourself. There is a thuggish element, and they're part of your crew because you don't say anything about them. You don't call them out. So, so Christians have had enough. They've had this for like 5-10 years now, and some of them have been going down with Crusade and Christian militia. Well, it's because the police are protecting, they're not protecting the Christians. They're not protecting them. The police are not protecting them. Look at Black Lives Matter when they went down into London and smashed London up, even attacking police. The police won't even defend their own police. The woke police wouldn't defend their own police being attacked by Black Lives Matter. So, that's where we're at. The police are not protecting the law-abiding citizens of this country, and so there are some people now who are who are thinking that they need to take the law into their own hands and defend themselves. But that's the fault of the politically correct police, the politically correct establishment that have done that. But that's not what all Christianity is about. Christianity is about evangelism. It is about sharing the gospel. It is about getting out the word of God. But if you start beating Christians up and you start threatening them to kill them, if Muslims are doing that and the police aren't doing anything, then Christians have to defend themselves. And the problem with you Ali Dawah, and you Muslim apologists out there, many of you, if we actually, I can say it for for Mohammed Hijab, you're secret supporters of ISIS, and you're not being honest about it. And I know that for a fact because I've seen the video of Mohammed Hijab and the drama with Paul Williams, and calling out the ISIS supporters amongst Muslim apologists, and then they blocked him. So people are concerned that the police aren't protecting them, the police aren't helping them, the police don't stand on their side. The woke police definitely won't stand on their side, and Muslim extremists are everywhere threatening Christian apologists at Hyde Park and other people who stand against Islam. And you, as Ali Dawah, are not speaking out against it. You don't speak out against it. And many Christians have suffered violent persecution at Hyde Park Speaker's Corner under the hands of Muslim extremists, and you have done nothing about it. You said nothing about it. You've never helped them. You've never said anything about it. But if I found a Muslim being beaten up by a Christian, or threatened by a Christian, or punched by a Christian, I would be there calling it out. I would absolutely call that Christian out and say, you're not a Christian, you're a disgrace. I would be calling them out. But you've never done that, and you never do that. So you are complicit in intimidation and violence of Christians in Hyde Park. And you stand there on your chair, smarmy, like as if you're some kind of modern day Michael Jackson, with your nice trainers and your nice t-shirt and your nice jeans, as if you're some kind of nice, suave, sophisticated apologist who's really sweet and kind. But the reality is, you're duplicitous, and you are behind. You're just as much a thug as the thugs that have been doing the dirty work, the Islamic extremists that have been doing the dirty work of intimidation at Hyde Park for over 5 to 10 years. And the police have done nothing to stamp it out. They've done nothing to stamp it out because they're scared of Muslims going down to the police station and rioting. So let's have it right, Ali Dawah. And that goes to the British establishment. The British establishment, the time for you to make a choice, because, there'll be a day where there'll be civil war in Britain, and you need to make a choice where you stand. Are you going to stand with Islam and this Islamic extremism and the far left, or are you going to stand for people who are ordinary citizens, ordinary British people who just want their freedoms for everybody, for Muslims, for Christians, Jews, Hindus, for everybody, not just for one section? But if you keep promoting Islamic extremism as a British establishment, then there'll be kickback one day. One day people say we've had enough. And at Hyde Park, people have had enough. People have had enough of the intimidation and of Christians and the intimidation of people at Hyde Park by Muslim Islamic thugs. So you've got a choice as the establishment to promote peace and tranquility by getting the police not to be woke, but to make sure that free speech is for all, and to jump on this Islamic extremism and call it out as it is and deal with it. But to try and paint Christians as some kind of extremists is nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. And that's what Ali Dawah and Adnan Rashid and all these Muslim apologists tried to do. They're trying to paint Hatum and Lizzie and Daniel and Godwin and Bob the Builder as these kind of extremist jihadist Christians, when the reality is that the fact of the matter is that there's hypocrisy with the Dawah teams. You don't want proper debate. You don't want proper discussion. You turn away from the Christian apologists because they can call you out, and you prey on vulnerable people at Hyde Park and Speaker's Corner, and then you get them on camera and you say, we've got these people that have converted and that's the reality of it. And the reality of it is that there's there's intimidation been going on for a long, long time by Muslim apologists and Muslims. And who are the majority at Hyde Park, by the way? It's the Muslims. Why? Because you see it as you see it as part of your taking over Britain. You want to take over Britain, and it's all this is part of your propaganda and your way of doing it. Yeah, so you kind of intimidate people, you're thuggish, you stop their free speech. At the same time, you have these nice videos where you pretend to be sweet and kind and loving and try to fool the British public as if you're the peaceful ones. But behind the scenes, you're promoting thugs who are doing your dirty work behind the scenes. And how many times have I been kicked? And how many times have I been kicked, spat at by Muslims in Hyde Park? And you have never said anything about it. And not just me, but I can name many, many, many Christians who've been attacked, punched, abused by Muslims at Hyde Park, and by Muslim apologists, and by Muslim extremists. And you've never said anything about it. The police never did anything about it. The police don't do anything about it. And you don't do anything about it, sir. Okay, I'll prove. May God strike me dead right now. To the Muslim right now. May God strike me dead right now if I am lying. If I am lying, may He strike me down now. Have I been threatened by a Muslim apologist? May I be stricken down now. If I am lying, may God take me down and kill me right now. I have been threatened by a Muslim apologist. So I'm telling you the truth. I'm a man of God. I'm not going to lie to you. That's just one example. And I know many examples that have happened to people at Hyde Park. So let's have it right, okay? Islam is trying to take over Britain. The British government are going to let Islam is trying to take over Britain. The British government are going to let Islam take over Britain. Islamic extremism and political Islam are coming to a place near you to take over Britain. The British government will hand them the keys, and not only hand them the keys, the far left will help them to the dish and the table, and even the police will help them to it, and your freedoms will be taken away. There will be a civil war in Britain one day. Make it no doubt about it. There'll be a civil war in Britain one day, and you need to make it clear what side you on: political Islam, or are you on the side of those who want freedom for the British public and all people in Britain? The British establishment needs to make everybody has to make a decision. Political Islam must not be allowed to take root in Britain at any cost, because if it is allowed to take root in Britain, political Islam is allowed to take root in Britain, we will lose our freedoms. So everybody needs to make a decision where you stand. Are you for political Islam or against it? Because political Islam is going to take over, and Ali Dawah and all these Muslim apologists are just preparing the ground and longing for that day they take over Britain. And when political Islam takes over, all your freedoms will go. That's not Islamophobia, that's just a fact. Look at what's happening in France. Look at the state of France at the moment. France is falling to. The reason why people are going down there with Christian militia t-shirt is because there's been a lot of threats, punches, death threats to Christians by Muslims, and Muslim apologists have not said anything about it, but actually been behind the scenes egging it on. All right, and the British police The establishment don't do anything about it. And so, what are we supposed to do? Stand there and let women be beaten up? Let Christian apologists be threatened to be killed? Or should people just say, no, we're not having it, we're going to stand up for our rights? You know, you can't push people about and bully them without getting some pushback. So God bless you. Love to everybody out there. But basically, this video is just saying it. You know, Ali Dawah is a hypocrite because he and his Muslim apologist friend, you know, they have friends. They have friends. I know Mohammed Hijab definitely has friends who support people like Adam Chowdhury, and I know for definite that Paul Williams, a Muslim apologist, called out all these Muslim apologists at Hyde Park for supporting ISIS supporters, and then he got blocked from their platforms. So I'm just saying this hypocrisy, and the police know all about this. They don't do anything about it, and then they try and turn around and make Hatum and Bob the Builder and these people as if they're the baddies, when all they're trying to do is just debate, and that's all they want to do, and call out injustice where it is. That's all. All right. But things are going to get worse in the next few years because political Islam, as it flexes its muscle, people will say enough's enough. All right. I mean, look at what happened in Ireland recently. Antifa turned up at Ireland, and Irish patriots kicked them out of Ireland, kicked them out of Dublin, and that's what's going to happen. People are going to make a stand for their country and say enough's enough, we're not losing any more freedom. So the establishment are playing a very, very dangerous game, because this would all be solved if they continue to promote free speech and they continue to they continue to uphold the law for everybody without fear or favour, and not be favourable to minority groups, and stamp on people who, Christians and any other group that don't agree with Islam, to stamp on their free speech. If they conducted the law in a fair way, it would solve a lot of this problem. But because they're not being fair in the law, and the police are not policing in a fair way, but have become politically motivated by political correctness, is creating a moral, social, and political crisis that's coming down the road, and we're heading for civil war in America and in Britain because of the far left and what they're doing. Soros and Bill Gates and all that. We're heading for civil war in Britain. We're heading for civil war, you know, in Europe and in America, because the elites are playing a very dangerous game, promoting the far left doing what they're doing, creating all this upheaval with the rioting with Black Lives Matter and Antifa and all the rest of it. And then on top of that, political Islam being promoted, and it's a time bomb ready to erupt. So there'll come a time when it will erupt, and when it erupts, it will not be easy to put back in a box. And the way to stop this is the establishment has to realize and defend democracy, and that means protecting people's right to speak. And the police are not doing that. They're allowing the mob to rule and the mob to take control, and they're siding with the mob. And in the end, free speech is going and has gone in many places and in many ways. And that will cause civil war, because if people don't feel they can speak, then it'll end up in violence. And Mohammed Hijab is using our free speech in Britain to promote Islam, but they have people on their side that are thugs that will stop free speech, and the police know about it, but they don't do anything about it. Yeah, I think she's okay. I think she's okay, but um, yeah. So this video is just saying, basically, British people, wake up to political Islam. Don't be fooled by a sweet-talking, innocent-looking Ali Dawah, because there's a lot of thugs behind him. You know, for example, who finances him? Who finances Mohammed Hijab? And if you were to say anything bad about him or bad about Mohammed Hijab, they've got people behind them with big money that could take you to court and take you down. Yeah. So they're not all sweet and talk about free speech and all the rest of it. All right. Take care. God bless you. Bye now.